Hey everybody, welcome to Teachable Tuesdays. This week is all about ocean animals, and a very important part of understanding the ocean and the life that lives there is understanding the water cycle. So today we're going to do a little lesson on the water cycle. The water cycle is also known as the hydrologic cycle, and there are several steps. Your liquid water that's pooled here, and the first thing that happens in the water cycle is evaporation. This is when liquid water turns into a gas and it floats up into the air. You've probably seen this if you boil water at home. The steam that comes off of the water, that's evaporation. It doesn't have to boil in order to evaporate, but it's the same thing. Another part of the water cycle is transpiration. This is similar to evaporation in that it puts more water vapor into the air, but this type of water vapor actually comes from plants. Plants will release water vapor into the air through their stoma. It's sort of like or stomata, I can't remember what they're called. It's sort of like plants breathing. Their stoma, they open them to take in the carbon dioxide that they're going to make into glucose, and then they release water out of their stoma or stomata. The next step in the water cycle is condensation. You might have seen, well, I know that you've seen clouds, which are a form of condensation. This is when the water vapor rises, it starts to cool down as it gets higher into the atmosphere, and then it starts to collect. It turns into clouds. You may have also seen condensation on your windows. If you're at home and you're cooking, like say you're boiling a bunch of water or something, and there's a window in your kitchen, you might notice that water shows up on your kitchen window. That's also condensation. That's when the steam in the air from your cooking touches the window, and the window is cold from the outside, and so it condenses the water into liquid water. The next step is precipitation. Precipitation is anything that falls from the sky, any water that falls from the sky in any form. Could be rain, could be mist, and could also be hail or snow. Any of those things, it precipitates from the air. That's when the water comes back down. The last part of the water cycle is accumulation. So the precipitation falls down and it starts to accumulate. It gathers together into rivers and streams, and it flows back into, say, your ponds or your lakes or your ocean. The greatest accumulation of water is the ocean. So you can see in this cycle, we got evaporation going up, transpiration going up, condensing into clouds. The clouds get heavier. This is one of those cumulonimbus clouds, big old thunderstorm cloud. Get heavier, it precipitates, falls back down to the earth, and then accumulates again. And it goes, anytime you have a cycle, like a life cycle or the water cycle, it goes around and around over and over again. Next up, there is a little music video that will teach you these same steps, and I hope you enjoy it. The water cycle is how water moves through the different states we can observe it in. This is also called the hydrologic cycle, and it has several steps. The water cycle has many parts. The first one is called evaporation. This is when liquid water becomes a gas. So let's just say it out. Evaporation. The water cycle has many parts. Another one is called transpiration. This is when plants breathe out water vapor that joins with evaporated water. Evaporation, transpiration. The water cycle has many parts. The next one is called condensation. This is when water vapor cools and then collects, and in the sky it turns into clouds. Evaporation, transpiration, condensation. The water cycle has many parts. The next one is called precipitation. This step happens when clouds get too heavy, and then they drop as rain or sleet or snow. Evaporation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation. The water cycle has many parts. The next one is called accumulation. This is when water collects through rivers and streams and flows back to the ocean. Evaporation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation, accumulation. The water cycle has many parts, and they are all equally important. They help plants and animals live and give us weather. So let's just sing them out. Evaporation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation, accumulation. The water cycle has many parts, and they are all equally important. They help plants and animals live and give us weather. So let's just sing them out. Evaporation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation, accumulation. The water cycle has many parts, and they are all equally important. They help plants and animals live and give us weather. So let's just sing them out. Evaporation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation, accumulation. The water cycle has many parts, and they are all equally important. They help plants and animals live and give us weather. So let's just sing them out. Evaporation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation, accumulation. Whoa, that was a weird music video. If I didn't know better, I would say that person had been stuck inside for a long time. Last up. The last step is our application. This is a little science project that you can do at your home. All you need is a plastic bag and a cup of water, and probably a Sharpie is going to be the easiest thing to write with. So there are a few parts that you're going to write on here. First, I'm going to write accumulation on the bottom of my bag because that's where my water is going to sit. We're going to write all this on the bag before we put the water in so that it's easier to write with. So accumulation is going to be in here. Evaporation is going to be a little higher, and I'm going to draw some arrows. Condensation is what I'm going to write on the top, and I'm even going to draw a little cloud around that. And then precipitation coming back down to accumulation. Once you have those steps written on there, we're not going to write transpiration on here because we don't have any plants in our at-home window water cycle. I'm going to put my water in here very carefully and seal it up. The next part, I'm going to tape this onto my window in a place where it will get some sunlight, and the sunlight is going to work to evaporate some of our accumulated water down here. It will condense on top, and then we'll go up and we can make a little rainstorm and flick on it and make the precipitation come down. After a couple of hours of nothing happening, I went back and put hot water in the bag, which makes the process move a little bit faster. So you can see we've got some evaporation that's happened here, and it's condensed onto the wall of it here, and if we tap it, we can make it rain on our sad little umbrella person. Anyway, I hope that you will do this project at home so you can observe the water cycle in your window. Thanks for watching. This has been Teachable Tuesday with Mr. Smith. Have a great week.